Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie Kinds of Kindness. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So Kinds of Kindness is Yorgos Lanthimos' newest film. It's an absurdist black comedy. It's basically three stories. So the first one's about a man with a really weird job. The second one's about a cop whose wife goes missing. And the third one is about a cult who's looking for their kind of like messiah type figure or something. So as far as what I liked about the movie overall, I really like the cast. Emma Stone is in this. She was in Poor Things as well, and The Favorite. She's done a lot of movies with this director. Jesse Plemons is always good. I really liked him in this in all three of his roles. Willem Dafoe is great. Margaret Qualley is in here as well. Chau, Mamoudou Athie, and Joe Alwyn are basically in all of them. They basically play everyone. There's a couple other characters, and Yorgos Stephanikos is the guy who plays RMF, who is maybe the same person in all three of the movies. Maybe not. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, overall, I think all the cast is great. I really enjoyed seeing them. They did a good part with all of their roles. Cinematography was excellent in this. It was done by Robbie Ryan, who did Poor Things and The Favorite. He also did Slow West and Philomena. Really well shot. This is one of those movies where just everything just looks very beautiful. And same thing with all of his movies, really, but especially with his last movie, Poor Things. It's one of those where every single shot looks like a painting, like a masterpiece. It's really quite beautiful and visually stunning to look at. I really enjoyed just the look of this movie. The overall feel of it is probably my favorite thing about it in a lot of ways. Music was also really cool. It's by Jerskin Fendrix. He also did the Poor Things score, and he did an experimental pop album called Winter Rice. I don't know what that is, but I think I don't even remember where he's from now, Germany or something, another country. So either way, the score was very weird, but I liked it. It was a lot of like just kind of crazy, like it was just a random, notes on a piano, and then they hit like a chord that it wasn't even like an actual chord or something, just like a bunch of like notes together, and then just like kind of screaming and a lot of no, 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 like weird like singing and stuff. It was very weird, but it really added to the movie and to the tension and to the drama. I really liked it. I feel like a lot of times I don't like the kind of weird experimental type stuff, but this really worked for me in the context of the movie, especially. I think it was really good. And they have Sweet Dreams are made of this by the Rhythmics, which is great. They use it in the trailer. And I feel like a lot of times movies will use a song in the trailer, but then they don't use it in the movie. And that's always annoying to me. And in this case, I'm glad that they actually did use the song that they used, throughout all the marketing and stuff. And it's a good song. It's a great way to start the movie. You don't even get like the fanfare or any of that stuff. It just like boom, starts Sweet Dreams, and movie starts. First part of it starts. And it's great. I really enjoyed that. I really liked how weird the movie was. Just so weird and absurd, and that's kind of what he's known for doing. But just most of the time I didn't know what was going on, but in a good way. It's just I'm watching going, what the fuck is happening? Like, I don't understand. Like, the movie starts out the first day you've got Jesse Plemons, and he like intentionally gets into a car accident, and you're like, okay, why did he do that? Oh, his boss wanted him to do that? Wait, I don't understand. Why does he want him to do this? What's their relationship? What's going on? Did his wife leave because she was mad at him, or because his boss was mad at him? Like it's very crazy. And I like that they don't really explain anything either. They mostly just stuff happens, and you just have to kind of figure out what's going on from the context. And I really enjoyed it. And the movie's just very funny. There's just a lot of very funny, very weird, ridiculous things that happen that made me laugh out loud, just because it's so just weird, just so crazy and ridiculous and upsetting and disturbing too, in a lot of ways. There's one part in the first movie where he basically at the end of it pulls RMF out and runs over him with the car. That I've seen more disturbing things, but something about the way that it was done, the way that it was shot, and sort of all of the events leading up to that, I think just made it so visceral and so like disturbing to watch. And same thing with Emma Stone cutting off her thumb. I've seen more disturbing, crazy horror movies and all sorts of even real stuff. But something about just the music and the way that it's shot and her acting and her face. She kind of does this thing with like her lip where it's just like she's making this crazy face. And the funny thing is the prosthetic for the hand was just okay. I've actually seen better prosthetics, I would say, but it really worked in the context of the movie. I really enjoyed it. Set design is also great, just like in Poor Things, and I'm just always blown away by just how cool and weird everything is. Like that, the first, pretty much every room they go to, every house they go to, every whatever scene that they shoot is very meticulously shot and crafted, and they've got everything figured out, and it's really cool. I just really liked seeing all the detail and the attention to detail given for that. Costume design is also very cool. I really liked it, not maybe as much as Poor Things, but still very cool costume design. I really liked, especially in the third movie, they've got like these giant suits that they're wearing that like don't really fit, especially Jesse Plemons is like doesn't seem to fit him very well. It's kind of funny, but yeah, really liked all that stuff. And then, like I said, just the shot composition. Just there's one shot in particular that stood out to me, just because it was not a it didn't have to be an interesting shot. It was just like a shot of a door, but something about just the way it was with the door, and you had sort of the pillar, I think, of the house, or some sort of part of the house next to it, and just the way that it looked, I don't know, just it struck me as being like, wow, that's the most beautiful shot of a door I've ever seen. It's just, it's a boring static shot. But yeah, I really thought it looked great. I really enjoyed just watching this movie. As far as what I dislike about it, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the treatment of women in the movie. I mean, in particular, in every story. The first story, we find out that Jesse Plemons was drugging his wife and causing her to have abortions, which is, terrible. And in the second scene, she's being abused by Emma Stone gets abused by Jesse Plemons, makes her cut her thumb off and rip out her liver or whatever. Well, I think it was liver. But yeah, again, just very disturbing. And then there's another scene. And by the way, if mom or anybody's watching this, you don't have to watch this review. Thanks for stopping by. This is a weird movie. But yeah, and I think probably the most disturbing thing, and the thing that bothered me the most about the movie was the date rape scene with Emma Stone and her ex-husband or first husband or whatever, just because it was so unexpected and unnecessary. I mean, I don't even. It's just one of those where I don't understand why they put it in the movie, other than the movie's just got a lot of crazy, weird stuff going on. But everything else, I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. It's weird. It's silly. Like also the porn tape that they play, it was funny because it was unexpected. But also like, do we really need to put this in the movie? Like they had to get an intimacy coordinator and all these people together just for this, quick little joke. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's definitely an issue. And I think a lot of times too, especially what's her name? Margaret Qualley's character is in almost all of the movies. Well, not the second one as much. It is just kind of like a sex object, sort of, and and the same thing. Just I guess I'm kind of struggling to understand why like Margaret Qualley and Emma Stone would want to make a movie like this, sort of. Not that it's a good movie, but just it seems like they're not strong female roles or anything like that. I guess is sort of the thing. So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't quite get that, or it's just my sort of American sensibilities. But and the movie it's very cynical. It's very mean. Which I usually don't like in movies. In this case, it didn't bother me as much. I think just because it's so well shot and it looks so good. But yeah, it is and it's kind of edgelordy, you could say. It does seem, you could argue, I think, that the movie is just kind of one of those where it's just like, oh, let's do some crazy stuff. They're just going to be random just for the sake of being random kind of thing. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I could definitely see why people would think that. And I think the movie's a bit long, and it's definitely not for everybody. I can see how a lot of people don't like this, and I was reading through some kind of bad reviews of this, and really more so of his earlier movies, like The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And it's funny to me because people just really don't like it. They're very divisive, and it's interesting to hear sort of different opinions and stuff. And I think of all the disturbing things in here, one of the most disturbing, maybe the most disturbing for me, was just watching Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone kiss, because it's just something about it. I think because he's so old and she's not that young, but still quite a bit younger than him. It's just so close, and it's just it was very like tongue make out kind of like intense kind of. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to see this. This is not something that, of course, there were other worse things. I'm joking, but yeah, that was very gross. So yeah, other than that, movie is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. He did Poor Things, The Favorite, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lobster, Dogtooth. It was written by him and Efthimis Filippou. He wrote a lot of the other Lanthimos movies like Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lobster, Dogtooth, Alps. Budget on this one was $15 million, and it's made about 3.2 million, but this isn't really the kind of movie that's designed to make money. You know, this is more of a Oscar bait type movie. So yeah, I don't think they're concerned about box office or anything like that. Rotten Tomatoes on this one is interesting because the critics are mostly liking it, 74%, but audience is not as much, at least. They're at 56%. So yeah, a lot of the audiences really didn't like this movie. I've seen a couple people say that they walked out of it, and yeah, I will say one of my favorite experiences in the theater was watching Poor Things next to a couple older women who were just so confused and disturbed the entire time. They just made it so much more awkward and fun and weird to watch. So yeah, I wish I should have got those ladies to watch this with me. That would have been great. So I guess there was some other stuff in the movie. Like, so the movie was originally supposed to be called, and originally they were going to call it RMF, which is the character who is in all three of them. He's sort of a minor character in all three of the movies. It was later changed to and then eventually Kinds of Kindness. I don't really get the title. Somebody somewhere had a sort of good estimation of it. But yeah, apparently according to Yorgos Lanthimos, RMF doesn't really stand for anything. They just picked him randomly or whatever. But yeah, I do think the movie. I've also seen people say that the three stories don't really connect at all, and they don't have anything to do with each other. But there's definitely some thematic connections, at least. They're all about sort of control and power and that sort of dynamic. And yeah, and I did think that was very interesting. And it's so odd. And then the same thing, like the story in the middle, I think was the one that bothered me the most, because like he's beating his wife and he's licking wounds, and they're like, yeah, you're okay, well, we'll just suspend you. And then they don't do anything, and then like she even tells the nurse or the doctor or whatever that her husband hit her, and they don't do anything about it. And then her dad comes out, and it was just so, like, I'm like trying to figure out, what is this about? Is this some sort of like an allegory, or is this a commentary on the way that women are treated and like abusive relationships? But then she goes into that story about the dogs, which doesn't make any sense really, to try to justify why she now likes chocolate, I guess. But and then they end it with like the dogs having sex like people and like ridiculous stuff like that. But the fact that she comes back, that she does kill herself, or he kills her, and then his real wife does come back. It's like, okay, wait, so then was he right, or is this a fantasy, or like what is real? What's this about? It's very, very confusing. But I also sort of enjoyed that it was just so ridiculous and absurd and didn't really answer anything. So I don't know, you just kind of have to interpret it to yourself. I did also wonder too, is RMF the same person in all three movies, because he's got the same name? But then if so, he died in the first one and then he got brought back to life in the third one. Why wouldn't you have him die in the second one, or put the first one in the middle? I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, and they could take place at different times or whatever. But that was definitely a little confusing, and not that it really matters, but all of the movie was very confusing. But it was just something I wondered about, I guess. And I do think, I do kind of wonder, is Yorgos Lanthimos just a really artsy pervert? Is he just kind of showing us vaguely pornographic, weird movies where he just comes up with whatever the fuck he wants? But because they're so well directed and they look so nice and it's so well made, that he gets away with it. I don't know. But I think for whatever reason, and I also wondered about this movie, comparing it to some movies I didn't like Bodies, 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 or Men, that are also disturbing, or about unlikable people, I guess, or disturbing or whatever. But I think just the difference here is I like these actors more. I like the characters more. And just the movie is better made. So I really like this movie. I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.